everybody. It's me again. I hope you watched the first part of my 4-part series on near-death experiences and why they're all so different. The first part was getting out of body, which is the first thing that you have to do before you can have a near-death experience, cross over into the afterlife. The second part is the actual journey, when the journey begins. I call it the crossing over stage. The first thing that happens after you get out of your body, if you are crossing over into the afterlife, if you are dying and going on back home, is you may enter a blackness or a darkness. I don't know what this is. I don't know why not all souls encounter this. I do know that I did. For my first afterlife experience. I didn't on the other two. But those souls who have experienced it go one of two ways. Some, when they get into the blackness, panic. And if they happen to return to their body at that stage, they will report that there's nothing after death, that there's nothing out there. There's no heaven, there's nothing but blackness, and we're gone. And for them, that is true, but it's not the reality of the situation. It's just that they had an unfortunate experience. And some of the negative NDEs that you may read or hear about are of that variety, where the person just got into the darkness and then went back into their body without getting anything more. My mother, when she was dying, she had a near-death experience, but then when she actually died permanently, got out of her body. She was in the hospital, and the priest and I were with her. She got out of her body, and she knew she was supposed to look for the light, because we talked about her NDEs, and we talked about my NDEs, and so she knew what to do, and she couldn't find the light. She didn't see it right away. So she panicked. Instead of going back into her body, she goes flitting around the hospital room. I mean, literally, I couldn't see her, but I could sense her, moving around the hospital room. And then pretty soon I saw the priest go, and he looks at me, he goes, "She's out." I said, "Yes, I know." And he had felt her go past him. So she got back into the body, and I had been holding her hand. So I let go. Thinking that maybe I was holding her back. So she did go ahead and pass quietly. And I've heard from her since she's been in the afterlife, and she's doing just fine. Some people go that route. They have a fearful experience at first. Other people have a warm, comforting feeling. I did. When I was in the darkness, when I first got out of body, I realized I was out of body, and I was standing in front of it. She was sitting in the chair behind me, and I went, "Cool, I didn't know you could do this." And I was in darkness, but it was a comfortable, comforting type of darkness. I could sense that there were others out there somewhere, but I couldn't see or feel them. And it was totally dark. And others have had this same experience of just a comfortable, velvety darkness. Most of us who have that and go on to have a pleasant experience see a light, in the distance. And that's what happened with me. Is I saw a pinpoint of light off in the distance, and I said to myself, "Oh, I know what this is. I'm supposed to go into the light." And others have, said the same thing. They recognized, or they felt it was a familiar experience to them. And when they saw a pinpoint of light, they knew what they were supposed to do. I want to read you. I hate reading to you, but that's the only way I can do it. What the 33 souls who met God, that's my book back here. It's a book of research where I found 33 other souls who had a similar experience to mine, in that they learned the same things about Source, about us souls, about life, about the afterlife. I measured 43 elements of afterlife experiences based on my own and also what other researchers use. And I made this chart of what each of the 43 said about that particular feature of the near-death experience. I have, since the book was published, added 2 more. Both of their videos are on my YouTube channel. Let me tell you what some of these others said about the darkness or the void. Most of those who experienced it just said it was called the darkness. One person said it was deep space. I think that's pretty cool. Another said it was very familiar to them, like I did. I thought it was familiar. One person described it as bluish purple instead of black. And one person said it was a darkness with star-like beings and a source of light in the distance. And another one said it was blackness with a pinpoint of light in the distance. So these are various ways, and I've read other NDE or viewed other NDE experiences where people have talked about it, and some of them will call it velvety, and some of them will, call it comforting, and some will say that they can feel presences around them. So it doesn't have to be a scary thing, particularly if you know that this can happen. Like if you get out of body yourself when you're dying and you go into darkness, if you know beforehand that it's temporary and that you are going to go on into what we call heaven, I think it can be very helpful. And that's part of the reason why I do these videos. After the darkness comes the light. There is a common misconception that we go through a tunnel into the light. That's not true. There's no physical tunnel. There's no tunnel of light. There's a horrifying, scary story going around social media about there being a soul trap and that there is a tunnel of light and that aliens can snatch you right out of that tunnel and give you amnesia and send you right back into, I don't know if it's the same or a different body, but sends you right back into the reincarnation cycle and condemn you to that forever. And that's just BS. There's no tunnel of light. What people are near-death experiencers who actually go through a tunnel, what they're calling a tunnel is a sensation of going through something that has a defined space, that has limits on the side and the top. And the only really good word for that in English language is tunnel. Now, English-speaking people who have NDEs will often call it tunnel. Other cultures may talk about crossing a field, or they may talk about going into a cave. It's often what you experience is based on what you've heard, because we manifest instantly once we're out of body what we truly and deeply believe. And those of us who've died many times and gone through the process and find some of it to be familiar will expect certain things and go, oh yeah, I remember that. That's the way it was for me. It's like I couldn't tell you in advance what was going to happen next, but each step of the way I went, oh yeah, I remember this. I'm familiar with this. So there's no physical tunnel linking Earth to, I don't know where these people that propose this soul trap theory think heaven is, or where this tunnel ends up. I have no idea why they think aliens would even know that you're in the tunnel in the first place and how they would snatch you out of there. I've never seen an explanation of that, but it's just not true. What does happen is we all go through a a passage. Oh, maybe it feels like movement to you. Now, for me, I felt like the light moved toward me instead of me moving toward it. But there's the sensation of movement, of going someplace. You're not really going anywhere. You're awakening to a higher level of awareness, a higher level of consciousness, another state of being, another state of existence. You're on your way to heaven, or what we call heaven, or paradise. So this passage that some people call a tunnel, and I think there's only about 40-some% of near-death experiencers call it a tunnel. Others will call it other things, and I want to read you what some of my 33 souls have called it. One of them said he went through this tunnel-like experience, and he felt like it was taking care of him. He said everything seemed familiar and unusual at the same time. He was being pulled out of the universe. I think that's kind of a common theme of being pulled out of Earth, life, the universe, physical body, whatever. Another called it a deep, dark blue swirling portal with other colors around it. And he said it felt familiar and unusual at the same time. Another one said that he went into a cave that was familiar. It was dark gray and floating in space. And he continued through this grayish, misty, cave-like thing into the light. One of the souls in my research who had this tunnel-like experience called it a vortex. And I think that fits pretty well because of the sense of movement and that it's got a confined space to it. Whereas a tunnel is static. A vortex connotes movement. Another called a tunnel of beautiful colors and music. She was the only one that heard music during her NDE. I've read other accounts where people have heard music. This was the only one who had an expanded afterlife experience, which is what my book is about, is the 1.7% of us who've had expanded afterlife experiences. There was another one who said he didn't go through a tunnel, but he went through or moved through some place. He just felt like he was moving to some place. Another one called it a lighted doorway. He didn't really describe, a doorway in the sense of, like that has a door in it, like in a house, or a sliding glass door, or a revolving door. He didn't describe it as a physical door. It was more of a knowing that he was going through something that was an opening to something else. And that something else was the light. Another female expanded afterlife experiencer called it some kind of entrance to the light. Another called it a long, dark tunnel. And he came back to the body through that same tunnel. I went into the light just, from darkness. I saw the pinpoint of light and it came rushing to me. But I went through like this vortex kind of thing on my way back to the body, and I was fighting it the whole time. One Hindu woman called it a cosmic wound, and she came back to her body through the same thing. Another one, a male soul whose body died, said, I knew the way very well. I was very familiar. with this type of passage, this tunnel-like experience. So this one soul that actually had a tunnel experience has beautiful description of what it was like. I mean, he was going through a tunnel that was full of different lights, and it pulsed and had sounds. I can't remember if they were music or whether they were just other types of sounds. And it was going faster and faster and slower. And I mean, it's just a most beautiful description of a tunnel. There wasn't anything in it except him, but it makes for a fascinating story. Now, one thing to keep in mind about these tunnel-like experiences is that none of these people actually go into the afterlife. While they're in the crossing over phase, they may see in this tunnel or around it or at the end of it or somewhere loved ones that predeceased them. They may see spiritual beings. Sometimes people that are going through this crossing over stage start to receive knowledge, what I call knowings, from the afterlife. But usually not. Some that do will often say that they learned everything there was to know about everything without being able to give any specifics. Unfortunately, many of us are not allowed to remember what we learned in the afterlife. I don't know if it's we're not allowed or we just don't, or getting stuff back into this body prevents us from remembering. That's what happened to me. It's like I could feel the knowledge slipping away as I was percolating back into the cells of this body. But at any rate, these people don't go into the afterlife. By my definition, many of them do go on into the afterlife, but I'm stopping this particular stage at what I'm calling the crossing over process. So the next segment will be what I call a threshold afterlife experience. Those are people who go into the afterlife and they get as far as having a life review, but then they get stopped. So thank you for watching, and I appreciate your time. Bye.